Hey, this is Mike Turner, and this is part two of my mid-year 2020 real estate analysis and forecast for Boise. So if you're just checking in right now, there's some latest numbers in this summer. There's a lot of people with questions about when the market's going to turn bad or will it stay good because of all the economic stuff going on with COVID. And so we're just jumping into the numbers to give you more perspective. Last on part one, I talked about how there's crazy low inventory. We are setting records there. So here's some new charts that I haven't shown you last time. So this chart shows you from 2017, 18, 19, and the red is 2020. And you see how inventory just dropped like a rock. We started the year off at kind of record lows already for the Ada County, Boise area. And then COVID hit and that pushed the numbers up. And then things loosened up a bit and it just came screaming down. So these numbers coming in haven't been seen before in the last 20 years, as far as little home supply. Like the supply of homes has never been this low in like 20 years in the Boise area market. So let that sink in because that has implications. For example, in 2008, which people sometimes think we're heading for another 2008 because home prices keep going up. This is 2008. There were over 5,000 homes for sale in the summer of 2008. The blue line is 2019, and then the red is 2020. So you can see that as much as people like to say we're right on the verge of a real estate cliff. We have a lot of ways to go to get ourselves into the trouble zone that we were back over 10 years ago. So you can't really have a declining market unless you get your supply higher. So prices aren't going to come down until the supply goes up. So this is just a huge thing I want you to keep pointing out. I'll show you a couple different perspectives and then home sales, right? So it's what's driving it. You can see that home sales are in the red for 2020, and we started the year pretty good, off to better than the last few years. Then it dropped down for a couple months, April, May, for COVID stuff, and then just shot right back up. Look at this number here. Talk about pent-up demand. So Ada County sales are, you can see this is 2008 again, showing down here. By the way, these charts I'm showing to you are from Web Charts, and it's a really good service showcasing the local real estate market. New construction inventory, you can see it's the same, right? It's tied into this overall number up here of inventory that I showed you before. It's really low, and new construction inventory 416. You see, just it was up here in the semi-normal range and just dropped, from all the demand, and maybe got slowed down from all the COVID stuff, not just even with like labor stuff, but also maybe getting supplies and materials, maybe impacting how quickly new construction is able to keep up with the demand. And so, so it's a really interesting time. You can see that, even in the worst of times, like 2008, we had way more new construction, but new construction sales are showing strong, just like the resale inventory. Okay, so Ada County resale inventory. This is existing homes. Here's the red again, and it's dropping crazy fast. So now we're seeing numbers that usually you don't see unless it's like January, and so yeah, again, here's 2008. Here we are now. So nothing like it was before. Here's resales. So enough of that. I want to jump back over to some other charts about what other things are happening in the economy other than these local, real estate sales. So this one talks about unemployment claims. Okay, so this is weekly, and you can see the year started out, like very, very low new. So the orange and the red, the orange is statewide. The blue is the Boise metro area, and you can see that this is right when COVID hit. This is March, okay, and so COVID hit, and you can see these numbers, and this is the initial claims. And this dotted line that's coming up here, this is continued claims statewide. So obviously they shot up, and now they are coming down, but this is still obviously very high. But yeah, but the initial claims are getting down close to, not quite as low as they were before, but it's definitely slowed because the economy has picked up, at least here locally. Um, and but foreclosures, right? So I get a lot of questions about foreclosures, and I don't know if you can see this here, but this is 2011. 2010, they were the biggest years for foreclosures. It takes a while for homes to go into foreclosure. And so even, let's see if I can move this so I get my face out of the way here. So 2007, nothing, right? So it was hard to get even your house foreclosed because you had equity in it. It's kind of like that now for Boise people, right? Most people have equity in their house, so even if they can't make the payment, they can usually sell and at least have some equity to pay off their debts, okay? In most cases, not always. And so, and then 2008 hit, okay, so it's still not a huge number. And then, but the prolonged, downturn and people were not buying and things got worse and worse, that just led to all the foreclosures. So, but in the last few years, it's been almost non-existent. There's just a few here and there that come up. So this is something I'll continue to watch. There is some early indicators about before things go into foreclosures, how many distress, there's different signs that how many might be in the pipeline. It's a little bit weird now because people are doing these forbearance things and getting some breaks on their mortgage for a period of time, and so it might look like they're going into foreclosure, but likely not. So anyway, that's going to be interesting to see what kind of effect it has on our market. This one's been, I love this chart here because with all the action, the low inventory on the homes, of course, that's pushed home prices up, and home prices is really impacting affordability. And so you get a lot of news and a lot of stuff going on about the biggest problem with, in the Boise area is the lack of affordability, and that is true. But and it's true because this chart shows you how clear it is. So let me just move this right here. So this blue line illustrates how many home sales in the area that are under 200,000 or less, right? So you can see, well, if you can't, I'll point out to you, this peak right here, this is 2011. So home prices in 2007, we're going into 2008, home prices started coming down, right? And they're coming down, coming down, coming down, and home prices bottomed out in 2011. Hence, that we had the maximum number of home sales under 200,000 in year 2011, right? So about 75% of all Ada County home sales in 2011 were under 200,000. 75%. Okay, I want you to just hold on to that number for a second. Because you can see this number keeps coming down, right? And coming down, and coming down, and coming down. Until we get down to 2018, it's less than 10%. It's about 6 or 7%. Well, now it's less than 1%. Less than 1% year to date, in 2020, is under 200,000. Okay, so, and even looking at, and so this jumps, this 200 to 400,000, is definitely the highest amount, right? Because this is about the only place to buy things. You can't really buy homes in Ada County under 200,000 anymore. It can happen, but it's extremely rare and hard to do. And so this has pushed up most of our home prices in this category, 2 to 400,000. And you can see home prices are coming up, but this is like, how can people afford this, right? So let me go to my final chart for today. And this one showcases, let me just move this really quick. So this one is showcasing what the median sale price of what in Ada County was, $237 in 2006. And in June, of course, in 2020, it's $375, right? So $375 is the difference between the median price today and it was in 2006. So huge difference. So this is where people talk about affordability. But one thing that's really interesting, one thing that's the main reason why the real estate market is as hot as it is today, even with the high prices, is not all because of Californians. Okay, it's fun to blame them though. It's because interest rates, okay, in 2006 were 6.7. Now they're like 3. I had to have a client get a 2.75 in a 30-year mortgage. Okay, so it's extremely low. And so what this does is, what this does is take like if you were to buy a house in 2006 at this amount, okay, so say you got a mortgage on it, would be your mortgage payment right here. Okay, now today, if you bought got a mortgage for this house, right, and you got this interest rate, this would be your mortgage payment. So you can see they're almost the same. That's how big a difference interest rates makes. People focus on how home prices go up and they feel like that's the main thing making things less unaffordable. No, no. The interest rates, right? So the interest rates, if you're trying to buy a house, you need to watch this, right? So interest rates does a huge amount for making homes more affordable, which is why the Boise housing market keeps going up, because people are like, well, interest rates are low. My mortgage lender says I can go up to X amount, and it's much higher than you thought it was going to be because you can lock in this really low rate. So that's really impacting the Boise market positively right now. If this goes up, well, welcome to the market slowdown. Okay, so if you are a homeowner and you don't know when you want to sell, like I get a lot of questions: should I wait a year? Will it go up higher? And all the numbers point to yes, home prices will go up higher with our really low inventory that I started out with. But that could maybe soften if interest rates go up. Now, they're not projected to go up. Who knows how long they'll stay low? But this is why people are still buying. It doesn't solve, this low interest rate is helping the affordability issue. It won't help it forever, right? It will go up at some point. So that is something to keep a watch on. And if you have a house and you have no intention of selling, maybe look at refinancing, not to pull out cash to go buy toys, but to improve your house, to make it more, either enjoyable to live in or to help you in a future resale. I've been helping homeowners do these ADUs, so you can turn your own house, your own property into an investment property by putting a rental, essentially a small tiny house, permanent, that adds to your equity. Okay, that's important. Adds to your equity, and it gives you an income stream. So that's really cool. So just keep in mind, there's lots of things you can do to take advantage of this low interest rate. So pay attention to that. Ask me, reach out to me if you have questions. But yeah, I'm going to end the video on this because I'm going on too long. But if you have questions in the meantime about the Boise market, I'm going to keep reporting on this. I didn't get to everything I want to get to today, so there'll be more coming. Again, it's Mike Turner. Reach out anytime. Take care and stay healthy.